Hey, Larry Osborne here, and we're talking about preaching for life change. And in this session, I want to talk about how you and I approach it. Are you approaching it as a banquet or the evening meal? You know, whenever I had courses on how to preach, when I step back and think about them, they were always teaching me how to present a banquet. They weren't really teaching me how to present just another evening meal. And therein lies a problem. Because those of us who preach the Word of God on a regular basis, if you give people a banquet every time, they're just going to get fat. And most of the things that tell us how to preach, they're really designed for a speaker speaking one time, leaving something that's incredibly memorable, and everybody holds on to it. I mean, that was the idea of alliteration and make sure everything has a letter. That was the idea of having only 3 to 5 points, or the idea of one golden thread that runs all the way through the message. And all of those things, frankly, are pretty important when I find myself as a guest speaker somewhere. Because when I'm a guest speaker, I just got one shot, maybe 3 shots at a conference, and then I'm gone. So I need to make sure that thing is very, very memorable. But you know what? If you try to do that week in and week out to the people you have the privilege of leading, like I said, they're either going to get sick and throw up, or they're going to get really fat. Because the idea that everything has to be a banquet is an unrealistic goal that you and I will never reach. I have learned that when it comes to preaching for life change, that it's far better to make sure every meal is healthy, every meal is accurate, every meal has some good so what, than that every single one is memorable. I mean, let's be honest. Most of us can't remember what we taught 2 weeks ago, and neither can our people. So instead of trying to make everything so memorable and ending up with some home runs and some absolute strikeouts because we swung for the fences, I think most of us are going to have a much healthier congregation and people growing more in Jesus Christ if we learn to have a consistency. Far better to hit a double every single time than 2 home runs and 2 strikeouts. Just faithfully teaching the Word of God with some very practical applications so they will know what to do with it, and not worrying all that much whether they can remember 3 weeks ago what we said. Because as I mentioned a moment ago, we don't remember either. Hey, if this idea has been helpful and these have been helpful, be sure to subscribe so that you can get notified each and every time we post one of these.